Hi watchers, welcome back to the channel. This is a piece from new Swiss-made company Bernard London, based in London of course, but the piece is Swiss-made and this I think is the first Swiss-made micro brand that I have ever featured, and this also is easily the largest micro brand box I have ever featured, I've ever seen really. I mean, it's really quite luxurious and solid in piano black. So just showing you the box that this watch comes in. So inside there, you can see at the top there, it's got Bernard London and the watch in the middle of this luxurious packaging here. So the links I've removed at the bottom there, the piece itself, this cushion, and then just to show you, there is actually nothing else in here, no secret pockets or anything that I've identified, and just really that's sitting in there. I guess in the proper product they may package some manuals and warranties in here. This is I guess a kind of a preview piece, and there is nothing else in here. So I'm just going to put that box away, zoom this down and show you the piece. Okay, so we got a little bit more of a cozy position here. So let me just show you this in detail. So guys, this is the Knightsbridge collection Cumberland model from Bernard London. So Knightsbridge is the name of the collection, their premier or debut collection, you might say. It's named after an affluent area of London, in my understanding, and the models are named after landmarks or streets, and Cumberland is a landmark in the area. There are a number of other models, 6 in total. They do come in a black dial, white dial, some of them have gold and rose gold. And I'll put out some shots here about the range and the combinations that are available for sign up very soon. So this is going to be retailing at $1,300 US. When you sign up for the startup, it will be 50% off the retail. That's the opportunity that you have to purchase this for. And I think when judging this watch, probably realistically, you want to judge it on the discount price rather than the full MSRP, because later in any proper brand, you really never pay full MSRP, any of the proper full name Swiss brands. Okay, so the first collection that they will be doing will be launching in spring, and the first batch will be limited to 100 pieces, so they will be numbered to 100 pieces. Subsequently, the watches will be more like this one without numbering. Okay, so moving on to telling you about the movement then. The movement in this watch is actually a Sellita SW200. So the stats there I'm going to put on the left here, not going to read all of it out. You know most of them already. The Sellita SW200, you may know from other watches, does have a date display. In this case, it's obviously modified to not have the date display, but instead have that open heart complication at the 12 o'clock position. It's really more of a para 12 o'clock position. It's not exactly at 12 o'clock position, it's slightly more towards the right side. Okay, rated accuracy, typically you can see listed on the left there. In actual use, I have found this watch to be astoundingly well regulated. Sometimes it's running plus 0 seconds per day. Over the week or so that I've worn this for, it's been running plus 0 to plus 4 seconds per day. That's really what it's been performing. So very, very good regulation. Now, is that a fluke? I'd like to think that actually they've taken the pains to regulate it very well. Okay, the case here is 41mm diameter stainless steel. It is actually 11mm thick, so pleasingly thin, relatively speaking, because it is more a dress casual style watch, not so much a sports style watch. The lug width, of course, is 20mm for a watch of this diameter, so nicely proportioned. And the lug-to-lug distance, I think it's probably what you expect looking at those lugs there. It's actually 48mm. Overall weight with the links that I've removed, the 3 links I removed, is 127 grams. So it's not very heavy. It's actually pleasingly light enough on the wrist, yet enough for you to feel that it's there, feel that there is something of substance that you're wearing. Okay, moving on to finishing now. The top of the watch has circular brushing around the bezel and longitudinal along the top surface of the lugs, and then it actually transitions a few times to polished surfaces on the side. You can see the very top edge of the bezel is polished, and then there's another edge here that's also polished. Hopefully that translates here. Right there, the second edge, and then there is another kind of like a transition here to the more straight polished side. So you can see there's a few steps there in terms of the gradation and transition between brush and polish. But really, the side-facing surfaces are polished, as are all the bottom surfaces. The bottom surface of the lugs, as well as that screw-in caseback, they're all polished finishing. So interesting choice of finishing here. There are a few transitions between surfaces here. Okay, showing you that screw-in display caseback now. All right, just take a look at that. Basic details around the side there, nothing that you are not expecting to see here. It does have that decorated rotor with the Knightsbridge or the Bernard London symbol there on the rotor. Okay, with that screw-in display caseback, it is actually paired with a pushing crown that winds in the 0 position, so it's not a screw-down crown. But overall, they've gone for a 100-meter water resistant rating, which is very pleasing. It does mean that you are able to do a little bit more with this watch than the typical dress watch. All water resistance rating charts I've seen state that 30 meters is really just splash resistance. 50 meters, you can do a bit more, showering, maybe washing a car, that type of thing. It's really only when you get to about 100 meters where it stipulates that you can consider going swimming with this. So that's really where this watch sits with the 100-meter water rating that they've given here. Okay, moving on to the dial now. So just take a look at the details on the dial here. It's actually a matte blue dial. So in the center, it's matte blue. It does transitions to a kind of a azurage circular texture pattern. As you move out that second area there, where the hour markers are applied, there's kind of this circular second pattern with the polished steel applied markers in that faceted type of shape there. And then moving out, it's got a satin type of finished outer ring there, where the chapter ring is printed. The minute markings are printed. Okay, the circular open heart display, you've been seeing that slightly towards the right of the 12 o'clock position. Really you can't modify that on that Sellita movement if you want to keep the crown at the 3 o'clock position. That's why it's slightly towards the 1 o'clock position there. And then it's got polished dolphin style hands right in the middle there. No loom in this watch, this kind of more dressy style watch, which I don't mind, that they don't put loom on this watch. On top of the dial is a flat sapphire crystal, so that's what they've gone for, and I don't mind that, that it doesn't have a dome. That this is just gone for a straight flat sapphire in this case. A dome may have enhanced it a little bit, but for this dress style, flat sapphire, I think it's okay. All right, so that's description of the case and the dial there. Moving on to the bracelet. Okay, just let you see that it is actually a 5-piece per link bracelet. So those polished bits there are actually separate links, and so are those 3 brush beads on every link. So that's a nice touch that they've gone for. That there's 5 different pieces per link. It does have solid end links, of course, but the adjustment is by split pins. It's not screw links, okay, in this case. Right, it's got this arm deployment clasp here with a push button release clasp, right? It's push button press metal release clasp here. So let's just put this on for the wrist shot now. And there we have the Bernard London Knightsbridge Cumberland model on my 17cm wrist. So, lug height is 48 millimeters, the lug to lug distance. So I think, it just fits me. Any bigger, it starts to get towards the limit here. So let's just show you how it sits. That metal bracelet, right? 11 millimeters thick. That's how it is. Okay, so that's really the watch. Guys, what have I found enjoy about this? So really, I think this is a very comfortable, 127 grams, very comfortable to wear, very versatile, right? It's, yes, you can wear this in the office because it's more in the dress style, It's not absolute strict dress in this case, but if you swapped it out to a leather, it gets towards that. I guess strictly speaking, you want a white dial for a strict dress watch. But you know, this one is very versatile. You can wear this in any sort of casual situation, and I've just kept this on the wrist. It's very, very easy to keep on wearing for everything, particularly because it's got that very practical 100-meter water rating. Now, I wouldn't strictly advise swimming with a watch without a screw-down crown, but I did kind of take this into the pool with the kids the other day. I wasn't doing anything too crazy, but I wasn't worried about having to take it off because I forgot to take it off. I took it in and I just left it on and it did fine. So really 100 meter, you should be able to take it into submergence. Just don't go crazy because it doesn't have a screw down crown. That's really my advice and my opinion on this anyway. I've told you about the regulation. It is remarkably well regulated, +0 to +4 seconds per day. That is a great bonus. And then the dial, I've grown to like this. At first, I thought this looked pretty plain and ordinary, but it's got really some interesting details, but the details are not overbearing. They're not in your face. And then another thing I really like is the hand lengths are very, very precise. That hour hand ends precisely at the hour markers, and then the minute and second hands, they are ending precisely at the chapter ring. Very, very nicely done. And I know that's not going to be an accident. That's going to be a purposeful design thing. Okay, little things to note, little weaknesses to note. I think subjectively, the case finishing could do with maybe a little bit more polished surface on the top. That might lift it a bit, give it a bit more bang. I'm sure they would have experimented with it, but I feel that maybe a bit more polished on the top surface rather than all brushing might be advantageous. I mean, it does have the polish on the sides there, but as you look at the watch, it's mostly brushing there. I think the Swiss made at the 6 o'clock position, it's a little bit on the large side. So let me just move that minute hand away. You can see the Bernard London, right? London you can hardly see. Bernard, the font for Bernard is actually smaller than the font for Swiss made. And I think that's a little bit imbalanced. I think I would like to see that Swiss made a little bit smaller. And not necessarily the logo a bit larger, but the Swiss made seems a bit disproportionately large there. Okay, London, maybe they can afford to make that a little bit larger. You really have to squint to read the London there. Almost it's not designed for you to read. Okay, and I think that the numbers on the chapter ring, I'm not sure whether I like it there, the 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's probably a bit distracting, and I think the details are definitely superfluous. You don't really need numbers like that on this watch, I think. Okay, so that's just my subjective opinion on this piece. And then lastly, I would say the bracelet finishing. Hopefully you can see that as I hold it close to the camera here. Is suboptimal, is subpar. The case finishing is okay. The bracelet finishing is wavy. So no doubt this would be sourced from, in the East somewhere. So wavy bracelet finishing, they will step this up, or they say that there will be further enhancements for the proper release. So I expect that this should be improved, because right now it's not on par with the price that it's being asked for. So, just look out for improvements on that. And then, lastly, the clasp, it is pressed metal. So, other pieces in this price range, you will start to see a lot more solid stuff here, and Oris is the big name that comes to mind that does very solid clasp, very solid pieces at around the asking price range. Of course, not at the discount price, but at the full asking price, I think expect something better than the pressed metal. That's really just my view of all these balances here. But overall, I think there are a lot of strengths, and it's become kind of my daily watch in the last couple of weeks, really. I've really just kept this on, and it's very easy to wear, very pleasing to wear, and I have enjoyed this. So guys, there we go. That's my review of the Bernard London Knightsbridge Cumberland model. Let me know what you think of this new startup Swiss-made micro brand. Again, my first Swiss-made micro brand collaboration ever. So thank you, Bernard London, for doing this collaboration with me. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this new model. If you like my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.